While The Legend of Zelda is a flawed game, I and many still regard it as a classic. It didn't sell as many copies as its sister game Super Mario Bros., but nearly 7 million is nothing to sneeze at. And like clockwork, Nintendo pulled out a sequel literally the next year, which is one part concerning, but also one part impressive. Zelda 2 is often considered a black sheep of the series, mainly because of its departure from the top-down perspective of the first game and every other game that came after it. Some people like it, some people hate it. I personally fall into the people that like it. I understand that it has flaws, but I'm willing to look past them and see the game's own merits to, judge it fairly. So to close out the NES Zelda story, let's take a look at Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Being a direct sequel to Zelda 1, Zelda 2 focuses once again on Link, who's a little older now, and after seeing a mark appear on his hand, he's informed by Impa that Princess Zelda is under a sleeping spell. But this Zelda is not the same one from the last game. This Princess Zelda has been sleeping for years, because a long time ago, her brother and King were trying to find the nacho cheese Dorito, with Zelda being the only one that knew where it was. Assuming their intentions are malicious, Zelda refused to reveal the location, so a wizard put a curse on her to sleep forever.
Well, I tried.
The spell kills the wizard that was possessing her brother, and he made it a decree that every girl born into the royal family be named Zelda in remembrance of her.
Alrighty then.
Seeing the mark on his hand as a sign of his destiny, Impa gives Link 6 keystones that are to be placed in statues housed in 6 palaces across Hyrule, and only after doing so can Link enter the Great Palace, which houses the Nacho Cheese Dorito, and use its power to awaken the sleeping plot point. Unfortunately, Ganon's followers aren't too happy about Link killing their boss, so they make it their mission to kill Link, take his blood, and pour it on Ganon's ashes as a way to possibly revive him?
Holy shit!
Damn, this game ain't messing around. With some slightly pissed pants after hearing about that, Link sets off to get the cheesy chip and hopefully do the down thrust with Zelda after this is all over.
What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Well, the stakes are definitely higher this time around, so without any more delays, let's get to starting the quest and naming our guy. Thought I heard something. After a unnecessarily long wait for the story crawl, we get a recap and then it's off to the glorious save files. Oh, if I could make love to a game feature, save files would be it. Wouldn't you agree?
No.
Once again, we play as good old Javert, starting at Hyrule Castle to see the sleeping princess. With our goal understood, we set out onto the land of Hyrule and oh boy, there's a lot to explain. We once again explore the world from a top-down perspective, but whenever you go into a town, cave, palace, run into enemies, or any kind of encounter on the map, your perspective changes to a 2D side-scroller point of view, where you get to jump and attack. Quite the interesting change, and one I actually like. Maybe it's just my platformer neurons tingling, but this is a gameplay style I wish stuck around. The only other game that really kinda did this was in Link Between Worlds with the wall walking gimmick. But that's a very thin stretch, so don't quote me on that. Well, since we got a hit on us, we need to be ready. Lucky for us, we still have our good old sword, shield, and... wait, that's it? Where's our stuff? No bombs, boomerangs, or arrows? Well, at least we can still shoot the cool beamy thing. That's cool, I guess. But not to worry, we have a replacement for those weapons. See, up here we have a health meter and a magic meter, the first game to have that, which became a defining ability in future games. But what's good having magic if we don't have any spells? That's where the towns come in. There we go, Hyrule's more lively this time around. It went from Detroit to Cleveland. So instead of having a nightmare wasteland where everybody wants to kill you, you have a more slightly alive nightmare wasteland where everybody wants to kill you. Where's that coming from? Towns are your safe haven in this game. They got everything. Women that heal you and give you more magic, but you never see how that happens, so I can only assume they gave you a friendly blow-up massage. massage. Anyway, there's also people that can tell you hints and locations, and then there's this guy who's just happens to be named Error. Sheesh, that's just a more fancy way of saying mistake, or accident, or collateral damage. Poor Error. It's okay, buddy. I wish we could talk about how you feel, but I gotta go get my snackies, so bye-bye. Each town usually has an old guy who teaches you a spell after completing a certain task, like rescuing a trophy, rescuing a bottle of mystical tomato sauce, and rescuing a literal child. Okay then. Many of the spells can be useful, such as Shield that cuts damage in half, Jump that lets you, well, jump higher, Life that refills your health, Fairy turns you into a fairy. Interestingly, you can fly through locked doors, but only in the US version. Fire, aka useless, Spell that opens a random building and turns foes into slime dudes. And then there's Reflect that reflects objects, and Thunder that's a screen nuke. You can also learn other ways to use your Swords, such as the down and up thrust. There's also magic and heart containers hidden across Hyrule to expand your meters. Lastly, on overworld goodies, scattered across Hyrule are these Link dolls that give you extra lives. Yeah, you actually have lives in this game. How they work in the game, we'll get to that later. Another big change in this game is that you can level up by earning experience points by defeating enemies or finding these bags of something. They say P on it. What's in there? Power? Pennies? Piss?
Well, this is getting weird.
Well, anyway, whatever it is, it gives you XP as well, which when you reach a certain amount, you can level up one of 3 attributes. Leveling up your health lets you take more hits, leveling up your magic decreases the amount of magic you use for spells, which allows you to use them more often, and leveling up your attack makes you more buff. If you know how to manipulate the XP system, it's actually pretty easy to become really overpowered by the time you get to the first boss. Speaking of bosses, let's get to our first palace in the desert. The palaces as a whole are more linear to navigate through than the dungeons from the first game. If you come to a locked door, there's usually a secondary path that leads you to a key to unlock it. Each palace also has an item, like in the last game, with some being optional but most are mandatory. Some of them returning from the last game, like the raft, candle, magical key, and the infinity gauntlet for some reason.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
I recommend grinding the enemies to help you get more level ups because you'll need to be somewhat strong to face the bosses. There's this one who you'll never guess what his name is. Just wait for it. You ready? Horsehead. Get it? Cause he's the horse and is his head. Time to make the glue. After a nice explosion that's oddly foreshadowy, you get a key that's kind of unnecessary. Why does there have to be a door there? And you just beat the boss. You place the crystal in the altar and are rewarded with a full magic and HP refill and a guaranteed level up. Oh, game, stop. You're spoiling me. Stop. Then you're booted out to go find another one. Next, after trekking through some swamps, you face the boss of the Swamp Palace. Helmet Head? That grows replacement heads every time you chop one off? Makes sense to me. One trip through hell in a graveyard and a missing mirror takes you to the Island Palace, where you face Rebonak, which is just a blue iron knuckle on a little horsey. Look at him go! Woo! Crossing the ocean to the next part of Hyrule, you find a missing kid and a push through a maze to face the Maze Palace boss, Rock? What kind of name is that? I'll talk more about him later because the similarities to something else may surprise you. Blowing a whistle by these rocks opens Palace 5 where you face Gooma. Wait a minute here, they're just using the same enemy name from another game but taking out a letter to think they're being clever. What kind of a cut rate production is this? Nothing too crazy, just dodges ball and chain, lobotomy, explosion, dunzo. If you thought some of the other boss names were odd, well here's the boss of the Ocean Palace. Get ready for this. Its name is, I'm sorry, Barba. I like calling this boss Barbara. I don't know why, it just makes me laugh. I can land a... I'm gonna try a trick here. Oh! Oh my god, that was... Yo. Well, anyway, after rejecting Barbara's offer and placing the last stone into the altar, we make our way through to the Great Palace, where we then trek through to face off against the Thunderbird. Doesn't look like any other bird I ever saw, who can only be damaged after using the Thunder spell. Makes sense, but I'm not done yet. We still have one more boss we need to face before we're deemed worthy of the Dorito. We have to face our Shadow.
Dun, dun, dun.
After a long, grueling battle, or piss easy depending on how patient you are, you finally are deemed worthy of the Dorito, and we make our way back to Hyrule Castle, reunite the full Triforce, and awaken Zelda from her totally not copyright infringing curse, and for our troubles, we get the good old smooching time. Zelda 2 introduced a lot, but no amount of new stuff can make me ignore the problems you inherited from your older sibling, as well as your own flaws. Like the last game, Zelda 2 unfortunately suffers from the same cryptic design choices. I wouldn't say it's as bad, since the game actually tells you stuff that's useful, that's usually not too far away from where that information needs to be used for, but it still has some dumb stuff. Just to go down the list, many locations you need to go to are hidden on the map with no indication that something's even there, like you have to chop down these random trees in order to find a hidden palace. This is the same as the wall and bushes from Zelda 1, worst of them being to use the spell to summon this random building in a random location in order to progress. Go goody. After beating Dungeon 2 and crossing the river, you have to get through Death Mountain again. And Death Mountain is a fitting name because if you don't know where to go, you'll be dead before you even find your way out this clusterfuck. The palaces aren't too bad, they're more linear, so getting lost shouldn't be a problem, but by the time you get to the fourth one, they just keep getting more complicated, having to make risky jumps and fighting secret walls to pass through that look the same as the other ones. Pulling some Zelda 1 second quest bullshit, I see. So, okay, there's some cryptic stuff here and there, but Zelda 2 has a problem of its own that's even worse than its predecessor. Zelda 2, as my past self said,
"This game is hard, like heavy platinum, cold as ice, rock solid, Salma Hayek from dusk till dawn, boner-inducing hard."
Zelda 1 got difficult around Dungeon 5, and even more in Ganon's dungeon, but by then you had enough tools to hopefully handle all the crap thrown at you. But Zelda 2's difficulty suffers from all the crazy obstacles in your way. You can try to walk around them, but more will just spawn, so it becomes almost impossible to avoid anything. The worst culprit being the enemies you face. Early on, they're not that bad, especially if you upgrade your health and attack, but after Death Mountain, the enemies you face are just insane! Blue Iron Knuckles constantly spewing Swarad beams at you, Lyssalfos hitting like trucks, these floating heads that spew flames and constantly change altitude, these Eagle Knights that jump around like a coke addict in a crack house, Tektites being immune to everything except the fire spell, which is all that spell is useful for, and to top it all off, Palace 4 just straight up has clan members!
The Ku Klux Klan!
Fighting these guys wouldn't be so bad if I had more to use, but your sword and shield can only do so much. It makes me wish you had bombs or arrows. Yes, the spells are helpful, but unless a potion drops from an enemy every now and then, you'll eventually run out. And then you'll have to trek all the way back to a town in order to restore it. Oh yeah, that reminds me of another flaw that really brings this game down some points. You have lives in the game, like I said earlier, and you can find more Link dolls on the map to help you, but when you die, you spawn where you died and your health and magic is restored. That's nice. But if you get a game over, even though you can save your progress like the last game, when you continue, you start at the beginning of Hyrule Castle! So if you were really far away when you died, you gotta walk all the way back, and this time, you have no recorder to help you get there. Oh, and all your experience points is gone too. I can keep my upgrades, but not my experience points? What kind of logic is that? Knockback is still here, but it's even worse. Yeah, in the first game it's not so bad, mainly because you didn't have bottomless pits everywhere. I wince every time I get hit, because it could just put you in a bad spot where you just keep getting hit like a punching bag. But then there's the final stretch. Simply getting to the Great Palace is horrid. So many encounters you can't avoid unless you do a glitch. Even when you're powered up, it can still be insane just to get there. But after all that crap, the palace opens up and you can finally trek through the home stretch. If you thought Ganon's dungeon was large, allow me to introduce the Great Palace. It's so big and long.
Hey, Phrasing!
I'm serious, it's filled with bottomless pits, annoying enemies, dead ends, secret pits you need to fall down, the works. Eventually you trek through to face the Thunderbird. Oh, get this, if you can't hurt him unless you use the Thunder spell first. But oh, sorry, if you didn't get the Thunder spell beforehand, you're f***ed. That goes for Karrock here too. You need the Reflect spell in order to beat him, so the only way back is to get a game over. But at least once you make it to the Great Palace, whenever you get a game over, you start at the entrance of the Great Palace. I don't know why they couldn't just start you at the beginning of the others, but I'll take it. Once you use Thunder, Birdie here is able to be destroyed. Yes!
There's more.
Dark Link. Holy fuck! Dark Link is almost impossible to fight normally. He always seems to be able to block every attack. Jump stabbing is the way to go, but at this point, I'm just too tired to care about playing fair. So just camp out in the corner and stab his glutes. Holy moly. Look, I know I'm probably playing it up a bit for the video, but trust me, this game ain't a skip through the daisy field. It's gonna knock you down and keep hitting you if you don't fight back. It doesn't matter how hard you hit, it's a matter of how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It doesn't matter how many times you gotta go all the way back, you just gotta tell the game you're not gonna let it beat you down and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. While its flaws are heavy hitters, I'll be honest, I kinda enjoy Zelda 2 more than the first one.
What?
Yeah, I'm being serious. Maybe it's because I played the first game a lot and I've probably grown tired of it, or that I've only completely beaten this game once, but I feel more accomplished beating this one. I love the world building with the towns, the magic meter became a mainstay for future titles, the music is great, and while I wish we had more tools to fool around with, I really enjoy using the spells. I also love the game for its uniqueness. The fact that no other game in the series has been made like it is something oddly charming to say about it. Could the game be more well-tuned in its difficulty? Oh fuck me, yes it could. And the navigation and cryptic stuff could be better explained, yes. But in a weird way, Zelda 2 is one I'd be happy to come back to. Even though it's a divisive game in the community, I personally see merits that, for me, prevent it from being just a bad game, even with the flaws I just mentioned. So I wouldn't consider it sort of a failure as Miyamoto put it. But like I said, if you want to play the game, be sure to have a guide with you so it won't be much of a hassle. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Who are you? Why do you have my face?
I am a physical manifestation of all of the negativity that this game receives, and I go around spreading it to show the whole world what this game really is. A piece of garbage. And I also happen to take the form of whoever I am spreading that negativity onto.
How convenient.
But enough about me. How did you escape my influence?
Look, I know the game's not perfect and does have its flaws, but I was able to look past those and realize it's actually a really enjoyable game.
No! Any positive opinion doesn't fuel my fire of ever-growing hatred. And now that you've seen me, I'm afraid you know too much. I'm afraid I'm going to have to kill you.
Not today, Mr. Negative Wannabe.
You fool! I am made from shadows. You cannot hurt me. And now to end your pitiful existence once and for all.
Nice job, hero!
Hey, excuse me, princess.